जी Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Welcome to another lecture on learning management system with the course code of CSC 350. You know, this lecture series is coming from ComSat Institute of Information Technology Virtual Campus, Islamabad. Student, this in continuation of the lecture series is the lecture number 17, and again it is on the EViews software, and we'll continue with the further topics. And before we start further, let us discuss what we have done in the last two lectures. In the previous lecture, we reviewed the last 15 lectures, which was lecture number 16, and all revision was around the management system and the learning techniques and the concept related to the leadership, the concept related to the motivation and related to the general management. And this was a quick run over the 15 lectures. In lecture number 15, which was actually the lecture on EViews, we will discuss a few things which we have done in the last lecture, because this lecture is in continuation of the discussion on EViews. So in the last lecture related to the EViews, we discussed general introduction of the EViews, and since the slides have been prepared keeping in view the available version of EViews, which is 8, and but if you are working in 7, that is also fine, there's no issue. But only some of the functions have been further improved in the 8th version. But as far as theory, functionality and the estimation, the forecasting techniques are concerned, they remain the same. So therefore no issues. Then we learned how to install EViews, how to get start with the EViews. Then there was the discussion on the updating of EViews. If you have purchased licensed version of EViews, then you can update, and the update options are available. We discussed in the help and the other associated menu bar. Data handling, we discussed the graphs and tables and spools. These were general discussions about these functions in EViews. The programming support, this facility is also available in the EViews, and but it depends upon the nature of the need, because the software itself is very broad and it is very deep. It is up to the requirement of the application of this software. Continuing, EViews illustrated. We will discuss what can be further useful in EViews. Well, in today's lecture, some basics related to the Workfile. We will discuss the basic EViews document, then viewing an individual series. We'll discuss looking at different samples, generating a new series, looking at a pair of series together if time permits, estimating the first regression if time permits, we'll do, and then saving our work, and then if time permits we will also discuss the forecasting of the dependent variable or any targeted variable. Well, continuing the Workfile, the basic EViews, this is how the EViews look like when you open EViews 8. So when you start EViews for the first time, it gives you different options, whether you want to create a new file, work file, if you have already made it, and whether you want to open an existing whether you want to create a new work file if you have not made it, or you want to open an existing eViews file if you have already developed and made this file in eViews. Whether you want to open a foreign file. Now this option we did not discuss. Now the first two are very clear. Whether you want to create a new file or you want to open the file which already exists. Now if the file already exists, then you can simply double click and you can open it. If you are opening a new file, we will discuss how to open a new file in eViews. But the third one, which is open a foreign file, what does that mean? Whether you want to open a file which includes data in some other program. For example, your data file was saved in Excel, or it was saved in SPSS or some other compatible software, but the condition is that software should be compatible with eViews. Luckily, over the years, eViews administration has brought it to the point where it is compatible with almost all types of databases. So you can easily import, you can easily export data, import to the eViews, or you can easily export the eViews file to some other software where you want to use that file. So students, if you have already been working in eViews quite for some time, and now if you are opening the work file, if you are opening eViews, then eViews in the start gives you the option of the file which you have been working in. आप इसमें देख सकते हैं, and it gives the heading of the recently used file or the recent files. Now you see the recent files which are listed in the left extreme left corner of this slide number 5. There is a file import _ATR, and of course the extension of work file, just to remind you, is WF. And the other is PWT61 pool extract data file with the extension again WF. But if you look at the bottom file, which is testdb @EDB, this is not the file created or generated in the eViews. It is the database file. Suppose your organization where you are working maintains a data bank. Now this data bank, the access to this data bank is provided by the administration, by your department. If you are studying in ComSat Institute of Information Technology, then if ComSat is maintaining the data bank, then ComSat will allow you as student to access the data files in the data bank. So in most of the good universities, this facility is commonly available to the students, particularly the student of research, and in general all the students. If you are holding university card, if you are properly enrolled in the university, they get access to the data bank and the databases. On the right hand side above the eViews 8 on this page number 5 or slide number 5, you can see the support. So if you, in the start of the program, if you need any sort of support, you can click eViews Illustrated, wherein you will find every type of help which illustrates the eViews and the functions and requirements and all types of possible descriptions. eViews help is also available, and this help, as I mentioned in one of the earlier lecture, I think it was lecture number 15, wherein I guided you to access the eViews website if you have any query or any issues which you are not understanding. And eViews has already developed online forum. Now, if you are joining online forum, someone in this forum will help you or guide you to run the functions which you are interested to. So students, now this is introduction. So generally when you open the eViews, this is the face which you come across. So basically it is divided into three major types and categories. The eViews work files, the first category, and number two, recent files which you have been working in, and number three, the support. And if you do not want to see this page anymore at the start of eViews, then you can simply uncheck the lower bottom, at the bottom, the statement show this screen on startup. If you unselect, this screen will not appear anymore when you start eViews. The student moving ahead further, viewing an individual series. How you can view the individual series. The first thing is how to create a new work file in eViews. Let us learn how to work file in eViews. This is the menu bar, and in this menu bar we go to File, as usual practice in the other software, File, and we say New. There are so many options. The eViews has listed New, Open if there is already existing file, or you want to open the text file, or you want to open some file which is in some other possible options, for example foreign data as a work file, or there is a database, or there is a database, or whatever. Then saving the file in eViews is usual way, Control S, pressing Control S. And save as, you can name the file, and close is to close the eViews or close the file. Import file, you can import from these possible sources. In this particular version of the eViews, the other options are not listed, but generally in the latest versions some more options are also listed. Export file, you can store to data bank, you can store data or some databases. TSD file export or write text, Lotus Excel, you can also write the eViews file in the 123 Lotus 123 or in the Excel. So Lotus is the earlier versions of the Excel. You can also print option is there if you want to print, and print setup as usual in the other, and then run and exit, the exit eViews. So if since we are interested in learning opening a new file afresh, so obviously we want to open a new file, work file. You can directly open a new work file status by pressing Control plus N, Control N. So when you press Control N, the new file starts opening. So when you open a new work file, just click here. So this new window opens and it asks you what type of file you want to open, or what type of file you want to create. Now starting from here, work file structure type, what type of work file you want to create. What does that mean? This drop down arrow, if you click this drop down arrow, you can understand EViews is actually asking what type of questions about the structure of the file. Okay, what type of file you want to open. So here are the options. The first option is unstructured/undated. The second option is dated regular frequency. The third option is balanced panel. So with each selection, the shape of this window will change, shape of this sub-page will change, because the requirement of each structural file is different. Now, what is the meaning of dated regular frequency? The first option is dated regular frequency. Dated regular frequency means whether you want to open, if I select this option, which was selected by default when I opened this window. So then just after this, you have to mention dated regular frequency means whether this dated series is by annum, by biannual, or by month, by quarter, by days, if days or weeks, whether you will follow the data series by 5 days a week और 7 days a week, क्योंकि मुख्तलिफ कंट्रीज़ में मुख्तलिफ जो फंक्शंस बिजनेस के चलते हैं वो डिफरेंट डेज बेस्ड होते हैं. हर कंट्री में हॉलीडे जो है वो उनके अपने पैटर्न के ऊपर होती है, अपनी जो उनका कैलेंडर है उसके मुताबिक होती हैं. So just after the selection of this, you will directly go to this drop down arrow. So if you click this drop down arrow, annual is selected by the way by default. So annual is there and there are other options. You see multi-year, for example, multi-year means whether your data is coming after every 2 years, after every 3 years. Annual means whether your data set is time series, annual time series, semi-annual time series, quarterly, monthly, bi-monthly, fortnightly, or 10-day, which is known as tri-monthly, 3 times in a month, weekly, if weekly, daily, whether 5 days a week, or 7 days a week. Or the third option, another option is custom week. Custom week means neither 5 days a week nor 7 days a week, maybe 3 days a week, maybe 4 days a week, or like this, depending upon the nature of work and the functions. So similarly, the other is intraday option and the integer date option. So these are different options for the time series. So all time series data are known as dated frequency or dated regular frequency if regularly with the same amount of gap the data is being collected. So this is about, so if there is annual, then we have to mention here whether the start, you have to mention the start date. It may be 1900 and suppose 20, and the end date is suppose 2015. So this is the amount of data set, this is the frequency of data. This is optional. The work file names are optional. If you want to name the file at the start of its creation, then you have to put here any name of the file. Page, since now in the new versions of eViews, multiple pages are doable simultaneously, therefore eViews asks you to put the page number. So if you are in page number 1, so the extension of the file will be WF1, and if you are writing page number 2, then it will be WF2. So this is the case, but this is optional. It is written here, it is optional. You can later on name the file when you save. So before closing the file, you can easily save. If you press OK, then the new window starts, which actually gathers information which you are creating in the file. You see, though I did not create any variable like this, C or residual, by default they are created. Now here C is with the symbol beta in the box. If you can see in the square form, there is beta associated with the variable C. This beta is symbol for the parameters. So C is a parameter which has been created, but there will not be any value against C. By default it is created, and but there will be no value in it. If you double click, you can see no value at all, because we have not entered any data, we have not estimated anything, so it is intuitively there. And RESID is resid, which is the abbreviation of residual. So residual term again is created when you estimate an equation, but we have not estimated any equation, so this is by default generated. The data will be stored against resid when you estimate something. So if you double click, again NA, because it is not applicable until some equation against data set is estimated. Now coming to this upper bar, range. Now you see we entered some information while creating file. Now at the start of creation of this file, the range which we entered, the start date and the end date we entered. The start date we entered was 1920, and the end date is the current year, which is 2015 or 2015. Since no other filter was applied, so 96 observations are likely to exist. So eViews has fixed or specified the data sheet for 96 observations. We can extend it. For example, if we simply double click this, it will reopen and you can make adjustment here. Suppose you forgot to enter the start date or the end date, then you can here delete and re-enter the new. For example, you remember that this was the data set of more than 100 years. So more than, you can enter the data set of even more than 100 years. So if I enter, say here, the year is not 1920, it is rather it is 1900. So if I press OK, it asks me whether to resize the file or the data space. I say yes, the data space is resized. You see the changes which have occurred here. Previously less than 100 observations, and now the number of observations have increased and they have exceeded even 116 years, both inclusive, the year of 1900 and the year of 2015, both inclusive. That is why it is 116, otherwise it would have been 115 or 14. This is all about the creation of then. Now generating the variable. There are two methods to generate variable in the in the EViews. One is this command pane. In the command pane, if you write name of the variable, say I say gen, and the variable name is y, and space, and that is equal to, since we do not have any data set yet, and data is either to be typed or brought it to the EViews Excel type sheet from the Excel. You put 0, and if I enter, I forgot to write the complete generate. So R was missing, so I have put R. Now it should function. Yes, it has functioned now successfully. Now if I want to generate another variable, you see this, after the generation of this variable, the variable is listed here, y. Now if I want to generate another variable, I simply delete this y and put x here, and this x equal to 0. I do not need to retype. I simply will bring my cursor over there and then enter, and this x and y are created. Now if I want to generate the data series here, for example in the Excel sheet, if I open Excel, and here if I, no sir, if I say this is Y series and this is X series, and the data, since I do not have data, I can generate it randomly. So I press equal to RAND, rand, and this rand between, suppose the values are between 200 and 2 million or 20,000. So any value between 20 and 200 and 2000 will be generated. Similarly, if I say equal to RAND, means I do not have a data set, so I can generate, for practice, I can generate my own data set. Suppose the values of next series is from 30,000, 300,000 to, 300,000 to, suppose it is some number like this, and if I enter, the number series are generated. Now I can expand it to any level wherever I want to, since my space in the Excel in the EViews is small, so I can reduce. Yeah, one thing is very interesting. If suppose you have generated this data series and it is much more than 116. So what will EViews do? EViews will adjust within its own space. It will not expand further. So either you reduce it to actual number, most probably the rest of the numbers will be lost when you copy and paste. Similarly, for the other series, you can simply extend it to the same number. Now, in order to bring this to EViews, I simply need to open this variable space, open group, and this is here. But as I mentioned in one of the previous lectures, that you will not be able to paste it here until you press edit. Let us practice. When you copy the data from here, say these two data series, I copy it, Control C, and when I bring it here, it will not be pasted. Control V, no, it does not respond. So what is the issue? The issue is we have not opened this log. So the log is opened by pressing edit plus, edit minus. So if I press once, it is added plus, which means you can add it. Now, but the memory is lost in EViews. Once you have already pasted, the memory is lost. But in old version, it still retains its memory of copying, therefore it has accepted the paste. So the values have been directly pasted from Excel to here. So students, I hope this was useful, how to create file in EViews and how to generate data set randomly and then put it here. There is another method of generating directly this data series randomly in EViews. There is one method of randomly generating. Yes. One more thing, when it asks me to delete, I say yes. That does not mean that the data is lost. If it was locked properly here, you see the data is there. So the data is, when I close it, so now you see the data is never lost. Yeah, I was talking about the generation of this. You see, it is time taking. Once we generate data in Excel sheet and we copy and then paste it here. Before we generate the data directly in the EViews, let's see. You see, our number of observations in the Excel sheet were much higher than 116. But let's see whether this 116 has been expanded or not. This is the last value. No, sir, it has not extended. It has just copied the values up to 2015. Let's see what was the value in Excel sheet which was generated. 168. But these values continue changing because we have created random numbers. So they will continue changing. I can show you how continuously they change. You see, the number series are changing. This is the perfect check whether the numbers have been randomly generated or I am playing a trick with you. No, sir, it is a science, not a trick. So since the series was generated randomly, so it is functioning. You can recheck. And we can fix this series. By simple functioning in the Excel sheet, by simply Control C and Control V. Control C and paste special values only. Because in Excel, if you press Control C, Control V, the series continue copying the formula. So coming to the EViews again, this was, double check and time taking process. Generating data first in the Excel sheet, then copying and pasting it in the EViews is a time taking process. But you can generate random number series directly from this window. I generate X, which is X has already been generated, so let us name it differently. Suppose we call it double X. So the double X series is being generated, and this time I do not put 0, I write NRND. NRND. Let's see what happens to this double X series. Oh, successfully generated, and the new series is double X series. Let's see what is in the double X. Is it 0 or what? So this is randomly generated series, you can see. Now here, the benefit of generating random series here in the EViews is that the number never exceeds or precedes the actual requirement. But in Excel, you have to control it. Here it is automatically controlled. Let me minimize it because we want to proceed further. Well, students, now let us check whether the random number generated in the Excel is the same as the random number generated in the eViews. By the theory of random number, they should not be the same. Let's check. No, it can never be the same because otherwise they are not random. If they are the same, then they are not random. So, I hope this is clear. What we have learned so far, we have learned how to create a new file in eViews. Number 2, we learned how to and what type of data set, for what type of data file you can generate. There are different types of data file we can generate. This time we generated dated series with the option of annual. Similarly, you can generate the series with the option of months and the other options which I have shown. Then you learned so far in today's lecture how to generate variable in the eViews. So there are different ways to generate variable. You have learned one method, generating variable. You simply write GENR, abbreviation for the generate, then you give space and then you type name of the variable, which is your choice. You can type any name of the variable, X, Y, Z, even you can put your own name. So when you write your own name, the random number, and then you have to write equal sign. So what is the sequence? The sequence is generate, which is command. What generate? Then you have to tell it the output, generate, output, and what is the name of output. That name you have to mention. Equal sign and then equal to the value which you want to assign to this series. Initially I generated 2 series X and Y, and I put the value 0 for all the values of X and Y. Then it is just like fixing the space for the required sample data. Then I generated random numbers in the Excel. I copied from the Excel and pasted here in the eViews. So you learned how to copy and paste here in the. Another thing which we learned is that you cannot directly paste in the eViews. If you have copied some data from any other software and you want to paste it in the eViews, you will have to seek permission from eViews by pressing edit button, edit plus, edit minus. So if you press once, it is open to accept the copied data. If you press twice, it is closed again. So the opening and the closing of the file allows you to copy and paste the data. Another thing which you learned so far in today's lecture is how to directly generate random number series in eViews. I simply typed on the right hand side of the equation in the command pane, in the command window, sub window, NRND. So this is what I wrote here, typed here, and when I press enter, the entire series is generated for the new variable whose name was XX. Another thing which you learn is changing the size of the sample. You can easily change the size even after the insertion of data. You can expand it or you can reduce it. For example, even still if you double click, you can change the size. But I do not want to change at this point, so therefore I simply cancel the option. So students, after this we let us now move on to let me check anything else which I should share with you at this point. Yeah, this was the method of generating variables by typing. You see, when I was generating the new variable, mistakenly I forgot to write GENR completely. I simply wrote 3 alphabets, GEN, gen. The EViews did not accept, and then I had to retype R, gen, GENR, and then it accepted. So can we afford to waste time like this? First you forget and then you retype. There is solution available in the EViews. In EViews, if you look at the menu bar here, in the menu bar you see quick. So this option, please remember this option. If you want to save your time, EViews gives you this option, quick. If you click quick, there is generate series, because we want to generate a variable with series. So I press this, and this another window which is adjustable, it opens here. Now here you do not need to write generate. Here simply you need to write name of the variable. For example, let me write the variable name y, and that is equal to, suppose, again random number NRND, and the sample is given. Whether we want to we did not discuss actually the sample here. Let me first complete this function, then I will come back to this even sample. What does this sample mean? Here it means the existing sample size, the option which we have already given while generating or creating the new file. When I press OK, the new, you see directly the new series is generated with the name of y, and this is y, and this is the data set. Now two variables and series were generated in the Excel and brought here in the EViews. Two series have been generated in the EViews directly by pressing NRND option, and now you have learned two methods to generate a variable or a series. One, when you type in the command pane, the above in the white part, and the other is you simply press quick, and then in a window, another window pops up, and in this window you can type name of the new variable and the option of assigning different values to this variable. So here we have assigned random numbers to this variable. Practically you can find the real data. So now one question is coming to my mind. I have generated two variables directly in the EViews. Is it possible that their values are the same? Let me check. These are the two variables which I generated in EViews. One is with XX and the other is YYY. So if I open the data set, is it the same? No, sir. It is not the same. This is YY series, this is XS series. If they were the same, then they would not have been the random series. तो इसको हम यहाँ क्लोज करते हैं. इसके बाद हम एक और जो इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ है वो ये कि अगर आपने इस पूरे डाटा का एनालिसिस यानी 116 ऑब्जर्वेशंस का एनालिसिस ना करना हो, उसमें से चंद एक का करना हो और बाकी का ना करना हो, तो फिर आप इसमें से सैंपल सिलेक्शन कर सकते हैं. आइदर फ्रॉम हेयर, यहाँ से आप सैंपल को कर सकते हैं, ये यहाँ से एडजस्ट कर सकते हैं. आप देखें यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ आ रहा है एट द रेट ऑफ ऑल. तो यहाँ आप यहाँ कंडीशन लगा सकते हैं अगर कोई कंडीशन अप्लाई करनी है, और यहाँ पे आप इसको चेंज कर सकते हैं. एट द रेट ऑफ ऑल लिखने की बजाय आप स्टार्ट डेट और जो है एंड डेट जो है वो आप यहाँ पे लिख सकते हैं. ये हम आगे जाके अभी करेंगे. तो स्टूडेंट्स, this is all about the creation of file in the EViews, and now we will move on to the other. Now coming back to now temporarily I close this. I do not want to say, you see it is asking me, I intentionally actually wanted to close this. It is asking me whether to save. If I say yes, then it will ask me what type of name. You see, it is asking me the general saving principles. If I do not want to say, I simply press cancel. If I press again, so you can close this EViews either from this normal cross, or you can simply press here. You see, these are different options. Or you can go from here, file, and then you say exit. So these are three methods to close EViews. So generally we are habitual of closing our files from here cross, the red one. Workfile has changed. Do you want to save? I say no. So the file is closed. And Excel, yes, I want to close. I do not want to save. Say do not save. So I am back to my presentation. So students, now I will share with you how to work on a subsample instead of working on the sample. How to work on subsample, and then viewing an individual series. How to view an individual series. What type of characteristics of an individual variable can be discussed, can be seen in EViews. Yes, here we can we can open a new file in the EViews. This file is named as NYS, which is New York Stock Exchange volume. So this, since the foreign data is easily downloadable, therefore you can practice any data series after downloading. Now why I am sharing with you this example, in the previous example we learned how to create annual data. Now this is quarterly data, although this is dated and quarterly, but this is quarterly data. In this quarterly data you can see the range is written as 1888, 1888, quarter 1, and then there is space and there is mention of quarter 2004, quarter 1. So the year is divided into 4 equal parts. This means this is 3 monthly data incorporated here. And how many observations are there? 465 observations. So this is the data file. So let us open this file. Before I work on this, let us learn some other methods of file generation or file creation in the EViews. We simply created file in EViews of annual type. Now I want to open a file, a new work file, this time not dated regular but unstructured undated. Please look at the window on the screen, and this will change the size of the window and the type of window. So if I click this, you see this is how it. What does this mean, unstructured undated data? It means we want to generate lump sum amount of data. We simply mention the sample size, the number of observations. For example, if I enter the number of observations, so for example, if I write the number of observation is 3,000, 30,000, 330 or whatever, I have typed here 30,000. The other things are similar. Work file name, if you want to put here, you can, and the page number if you want. If I press OK, see how the window changes. This is another example to learn. So this is how the file is generated, how the file is created here. The other things are as usual. I close this, but I want to open another file so that you perfectly learn how to create different types of file in EViews. Now, if it is the balanced panel, dated regular, unstructured, undated, dated regular we have done, and now this time the balance panel. Now balance panel mean now not only the start and the end date, but we have to mention the number. For example, we want to record the performance of 100 computers for 30 years. So here I will have to put the start date, here I have to put the end date, and here the number of 30 computers. So for 30 computers, I want to analyze the performance from, say, the year 2000 to 2015, but I have to mention in the balance panel data, I have to mention the computer. Suppose I want to not only 33,000 or 300 computers I want to. So number of cross sections mean the number of entities which you want to analyze. So if I put OK, OK, and this is, you see this type of file is different, and you can see the sample size here. The number of observations are 4,800. This is the characteristic of the panel data. Now you see in this panel data, panel type of data, actually we have to mention the time series, we have to mention the number of groups. Suppose we want to analyze the data set of, say, 150 countries for the last 60 years. So we have to mention the start date, then the end date, and then these the number of countries. So this is how, and then the other difference here is cross ID, date ID, and residual. You see cross ID. Cross ID means the number of countries, the number of computers which you want to analyze, and date ID. Date ID is the start. What is the date? these. You see, if I press this cross ID, you can see what is cross ID, how many computers I wanted to analyze. I wanted to analyze 300 computers, so it has listed. This is how the panel data is organized. So panel data is organized from 1 to 300. So 1 will be written or typed as many types as the number of period or the number of years, and 2, 3, and like this. So every number is actually the code for the computers. We can change this code. For example, if the computer name is ABC, the other is CDE, the other is EFG, so like this. So they can also be changed like this. Then here, for all the 30, there will be 30 code, but as far as time period is concerned, it will be coded as time. Similarly, date ID, if I double click on, you see the date is mentioned here. I gave the start date option from 1st, say 1/1/2000, and it is 1/1/2015. And in the same way, you see why actually the data is recorded like this. The sample size multiplied by number of companies. So if you double click, you can change whatever you want to change here. You see, this is cross ID, date ID. So if you want to bring any change here, you can close. Another type of file which you can open in EViews, for example, if you want to open the file like dated regular, but this time not annual but the quarterly data. Now here I have to mention the year and the quarter. For example, the year is 2000 and it is Q1, and the other is 2015, and suppose I want to record the data for Q2 or Q3, and if I press OK, this is how the quarterly data is recorded. So 62 observations. The other things are as usual. So students, this is how the data series, the data file are created in EViews. Again, I come back to the presentation. I think we will have to stop here, and viewing an individual series and the other parts, other things we will continue discussing in the next lecture. So in today's lecture, we learned, what did we learn in today's lecture? So this was our main focus. So we learned creating file of different types and creating variables by different methods, and then we did it in quite detail. So we will stop here, and in the next lecture we will continue discussing more things on EViews. I hope it is interesting. So students, the training in EViews is very expensive, but I have made it as part of your course, and inshallah you will become a good instructor. So you can offer very good trainings in EViews after learning this course. So thank you very much. See you in the next lecture. I hope this lecture was very useful and very informative about the EViews. EViews is a huge thing, and hopefully at the end of the semester you will be quite equipped with the tools which are applicable in EViews. So EViews is a good software. Have a nice day. Allah Hafiz.